This is Yusuf from my channel. Peace to you. I have explained in the last 4 videos why I stuck with this. I don't know if they're ever going to get up because it was part 2 to proselytization. And then I finally made a full one, and it ran about over a half hour long, and then it was going to take me 564 hours to upload it. No, not happening. So, let me give you a conspiracy theory that's not out there yet. I'm going to do conspiracy theories along the Bible. Some of them may actually be true, but I don't. This one does not lie in truth. This one's fake. This one I believe to be fake. I just made it up. I made this one up. Give me credit for it when it's cited, when people are making money about it. But like all conspiracy theories, it takes some assumptions. Actually, almost like anything, it takes assumptions. Or at least assertions. To be then taken as assumptions, and then that's where you can get conspiracy theories. Here's this one. A group of wandering people, actually it's a family, very tight-knit family, and down through the ages, you know, they were almost like gypsies, but they were trying to find their hold. It was almost like the beginnings of a clan. And it may have been the dying out of another clan. It's a fragment of another clan, the dying out of another clan, the beginning of a new one. And instead of having just the clan for them to be around, you know, for them to exist, they needed something else, something separate, so that the clan wouldn't merge, so that at least their part, their family part in the clan would always remain supreme. So they're a group of wandering peoples. They're led by this man Abraham, who was in different skirmishes and wars, taking him from around Iraq to Iran. He was establishing a family and making a deal with some people, with a very mystical man, that, you know, this land was going to be his. He actually believed that these certain geometric parts of land were going to be his. Another thing about this clan, and that's just a peculiar part of it, but what bound them all together is a strict adherence to the belief in one God. Now, it was the one God among many, but it was the one God. It was the God of terror, the God that would shake the earth, the God that got offended, the God that was the hardest to please. And you need to be the most ascetic and the most restrained for this God to actually destroy water for you, destroy mountains, to wipe out whole armies. And you needed 100% devotion to this God. Now, what you did in your daily life, as long as it didn't clash with what this God demands of you, then you can do it, because it only demands that this God only demands loyalty towards Him and nothing else. And it lays down, they were smart enough to lay down a few rules, you know, say what this God commands and what it doesn't command, which made them very peculiar. They wanted to get an air of righteousness, so they wouldn't slaughter their babies, they wouldn't do particular things, they wouldn't cut parts of their beard. They had brought this strange washing ritual with them from the Tigris and Euphrates, and they made sure their kids knew it. And they established themselves as men of God. And as each patriarch led the family, you had Abraham, and you had Isaac, and there could be only one patriarch. And then they would send, when the land got too large, they'd send out people. You rule that land with this mindset, and we rule this one, and in the event of war, we can all come together and fight and crush our enemies. Because we're bound by this thing. So a very wise man named Jacob crafted it so that one of his sons was installed, a son that was very good at hypnotism and getting into people's minds, the one that the other children were jealous of. He got him to basically gain power, and he gained a very mystical control over Pharaoh, and basically was ruling in Pharaoh's stead for a while, kind of like his silent partner, kind of like his Rasputin. And as soon as that Pharaoh died, the rest of the Egyptians didn't like these people, and they said, look, they come into our land, they eat our food, and they're just children machines. They have children upon children upon children. They don't practice our very customary and very basically populous harmonizing of marrying brother and sister. They just start intermarrying, and then you have to belong to them. Whereas it's always been, you always worship everybody's gods, but of course you take on your new family's gods as a sign of respect. And these people initially had a lot of power, so you just need a few generations for these people to become dangerous. And these people had these surrounding allies, and they were diseased, and they were bringing plagues into the city, and they were telling people that they had brought these plagues in these cities unless Pharaoh gives them all the gold and silver in the city, and that they can raid any of the they can go into any Egyptian home, even of the normal people, even of the everyday man, take whatever they want and carry it out of there, so they can go worship at their mountain, and then they'll be gone for about 3 days, and then they'll come back. Well, the Egyptians did, but after they'd worshipped at their mountain for a day and night, doing what they did, they were on their way back, and the Egyptians met them and kept them out and fought them out. But they had told their allies in the right west of Egypt, the Moabites and the Ammonites, that these people were coming. If you want to be a friend of Egypt, you have to get rid of these people. Are these really your kin? So they rose up against them and started fighting them. But they didn't realize that these now 12 should have broken up a long time ago and found other land, but they were very compact, and they actually had 12 tribes fighting, as opposed to the great armies of Egypt, and then the very, very big confederations of the tribes of the Moabites and the Ammonites that did have land, but they weren't so overwhelming with people. So they got swept. They got swept out by the Egyptians. Well, not really. They just weren't allowed to turn. And the rivers grew so swollen that the Egyptian army couldn't pass to get them, and they couldn't pass to get the Egyptians, and the Egyptians took it as a sign from Ra that Egypt was expelling them and their evil god. So they went on and they conquered and killed any of these other people that could claim to just come back into the clan. Since this clan was overgrown, they said, let's wipe the rest of them out. They're our eternal enemies. So they wiped out Amalek completely, because they would have to bring them in. They were already over-swollen. So they took them out, and they went through a brief period of where they were actually killing each other and starving and famine. Famine was going. And there was a much higher, much moral people. The Philistines, who were of Greek culture, were a very different culture than these now called Hebrews, these Israelites. And they, without provocation, attacked them too. And well, actually, the Philistines met them first because they had heard of what they did to the Hivites, the Amalekites, the Jebusites. They saw this great holy thing coming. And they said, we got to do something about this war machine. It's killing everyone. It's mass slaughter. Their God is commanding them to kill in the name of God. And that's how they're conquering all this land, because they don't even leave anybody alive for slaves except the virgins. So the brave Philistines tried to make a stand. They did for a while, and there was skirmish on top of that, and this and that. And finally, the kingdom was so violent that it split. It did what it should have done. Judah, which was big, and then Ephraim in the north, which were big in the north. And you had two lines. And then you had, when the Syrian Empire came by to invade, Judah felt so big and powerful that it cut itself off from Israel and said, well, I'm not going to help you. Did just what Amalek and Moab did. So then Nebuchadnezzar finally conquers Judah from its pride, and you have the Torah being written down by these exiled Jews. And Cyrus the Great comes by, and then finally you have Ezra come by, and he crafts all this story, people who actually happened, but changed the way so it was actually God's hand doing all this thing, and that these people weren't really violent murderers trying to take over the land, and that they were hostile to all the other groups, and that they were sick xenophobes. It spins it in a really different light. So that's the true story behind Genesis. Now, it's a total conspiracy theory that I just made up. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. But I bet if I leave this up, somebody's going to follow it this line. Peace to you. May God save Serbia and Syria. For it when it's cited, when people are making money about it. But like all conspiracy theories, it takes some assumptions. Actually, almost like anything, it takes assumptions. Or at least assertions. To be then taken as assumption. Let me give you a conspiracy theory that's not out there yet. I'm going to do conspiracy theories along the Bible. Some of them may actually be true, but I don't. This one does not lie in truth. This one's fake. This one I believe to be fake. I just made it up. I made this one up. Give me credit, and then that's where you can get conspiracy theories. Here's this one. A group of of wandering people. Actually, it's a family. Very tight-knit family, and I don't know if they're ever going to get up because it was part 2 to proselytization. And then I finally made a full one, and it ran about over a half hour long, and then it was going to take me 564 hours to upload it. No, not happening. So, this is Yusuf from my channel. Peace to you. I have explained in the last 4 videos why I stuck with this.